Welcome to the Sisters in Service podcast, the space where stories from active duty veterans, military spouses, chapter closed, it's simply evolved. Sisters in Service is proudly sponsored by Fit for Life Alliance, a space where people are committed to feeling better in their bodies every single day, and by My Sexy Business, where you can own a business that doesn't own you. So grab your coffee, your journal, or your walking shoes, because every episode is an invitation to listen, learn, and lean into the powerful stories that remind us service is a sisterhood that never fades. And welcome everyone to what I'd like to call a special edition and kind of just chilling and talking with what I feel is a good friend of mine. I'm glad you're here today because this conversation that we're going to have matters, especially if you've ever felt confused, dismissed, or even scared when it comes to hormones, perimenopause, or menopause, or I should say, and menopause, like all the things. So today we're diving into a topic that shaped decades of medical guidance for women and is finally being re-examined with fresh eyes and better science. I am honored to welcome Dr. LaKeischa McMillan, a physician, educator, and powerful voice behind the Apology Tour, a movement centered on truth, accountability, and rewriting the narrative around women's health. Before we get into the science and the headlines, I want to start with the heart of it all. So, Dr. LaKeischa, before we get started, because you know we can go, can you tell us why you created the Apology Tour and what inspired this movement?
Oh, thank you so much, Kat, for actually hosting a stop on the Apology Tour and being part of this. I'm calling it a little grassroots movement as part of a larger conversation around women's health. And like you said, around this particular period and time in women's health. And so the Apology Tour got started because I was constructing a talk. I was the kickoff speaker for the National Menopause Show in Anaheim, California, and last year. And I started, really thinking about the topic and how I wanted to talk about it. And I was like, you know what? It's almost like when celebrities or somebody gets caught doing something, and then they have to do their apology tour. Like they have to get all and they're like, I'm sorry. I was like, we need to do that as a medical community. I was
Yes.
like, it's wonderful that we've had all of these great conversations, like, the menopause show that Oprah did that made it more of a national topic and conversation, having Halle Berry come out and talk about her symptoms and being so transparent. And so we've had these pockets of conversations. I said, nobody has come up and said, ma'am,
We're
women,
so sorry.
like this is why we're even here. And I said, we need to apologize to the women that watch this your podcast, that listen to your podcast. I want to apologize to them. I want to apologize to our four mothers that have gone before us, that have suffered in silence. I want to apologize to all the women that have been told your labs are normal, nothing's wrong with you, you just need to eat less and move more. And
Yes.
and then in turn you start questioning your own body, you start questioning your own sanity, you start
Yes.
questioning your ability to synthesize information. And then you're like, well, maybe something's wrong. Maybe it's truly not wrong. And so I want to apologize to women and tell and explain how we got here. This is how we got here. And so that's how I started the apology. That's how I started conceptualizing it. And then the FDA removed the black box warning on estrogen products, and we'll talk about that. And that's when I felt like there was this cosmic boom, almost like a big bang that was able to catapult this conversation even more and broader and bigger. And so that's kind of how this apology tour got started. I felt we needed to make the rounds and say we're sorry.
I hear you. And it makes total sense. I want to ask a question. Do you feel as though if more celebrities like Halle Berry had come out, or came out and talked more about this, do you think we'd be further ahead or further along?
That's a great question. I'm going to play devil's advocate, and I'm going to
Okay.
say no, not really. And I'm going to say why. Because of the WHI study, that Women's Health Initiative study that came out, and the interpretation of that study is really what it is. I believe, and that's why I feel we're here, because it influenced women's health so heavily that we have done a disservice for almost 2 generations of women
Mm-hmm.
because of the interpretation of it. Now, if more people had come out before and said, hey, something's going on, I think we would have probably started the national conversation a little bit earlier.
Mm-hmm.
But I think with us revisiting the data in 2022, that was a real big kind of push to say, hey, this is what we know now and how we can interpret that data.
But why was this study so influential? That's what I want to know. Why was it? It was like, somebody wrote a paper and they go by it word by word. Why was it so influential?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked. Because, okay, I feel that I have authority to speak on that because I was there when the WHI, and for those that are listening, WHI stands for Women's Health Initiative. We call it just the WHI study. When the findings were delivered in 2002, I was an intern in OBGYN training. I remember, y'all, I was that fresh doctor. I had gotten my brand new MD behind my name. Okay.
You were happy, weren't you? You were
Oh,
like,
I
yeah.
had the long coat on in the hospital now. I didn't have the short jacket. I had the long white coat, which meant, oh, she's a real doctor now. Like that's not a student, right? And I'm not
Yes.
saying that students are doctors, but you know what I mean? I was like, had my pager, I had my list of patients, and I'm sitting in morning reports. So our residency program's fiscal year started July 1st. July 17th is when this study came out, and they FedEx this study's results to my program director's home. She walks into morning report and is waving this report and says, we have to stop them, we have to take them off. And the interns, we're looking at each other like, what just happened?
Uh-huh.
And so the WHI study was this big study that it was the largest study to date for women's health. So you guys, I'm going to take you to school just for a little bit so that you can understand what we're talking about. So Women's Health Initiative was a study that 40 centers around the United States all enrolled in. 166,000 women were enrolled in this study.
Wow.
And what they were trying to do was they were looking at 3 big areas that cause women to live shorter lives, so morbidity, or mortality, which affects the quality of their longer lives, okay, as they get older. So we call that morbidity and mortality. And the 3 big things were, number 1, cardiovascular disease. That's the biggest killer of women, okay? Number 2 was osteoporosis, and number 3 is breast cancer. And whenever I put those in order, a lot of people go, number 3 is breast cancer, but we hear so much about breast cancer. Yes. And I kind of say tongue in cheek, breast cancer has a great PR department, but I mean, I mean that with all due respect, because they get the word out. They tell us about it. That's what I'm saying. And so we need to understand that those 3 big things, they were like, okay, how can we help women not die from them? Or if they have this, they can actually have a better quality of life. And so they broke it down into a hormone arm of the study. They said, hey, if we give women back the hormones they lose, maybe that will be helpful. They even had a category of women that did lifestyle changes, so exercising, food, supplementation, and then they had a supplement-only group of women, so looking at vitamin D, calcium, magnesium, those type of things. And what they thought they saw when they looked at the data was that when they looked at the hormone arm of the study, that there was an increased risk in breast cancer with women that were on estrogen and progesterone. Now, here's the kicker. One, women in this study were 63 years old and older. Most of them had had a known cardiovascular event. They were already in menopause, okay? And they had been in menopause for a while, for possibly over 10 years. They had probably hit the 10-year mark by then. And so what they thought they saw, and then the other thing was the hormones they studied, y'all, they were synthetic hormones. And that's a big deal. That is huge. Big deal. Because the estrogen came from horses' urine, okay? They got pregnant horses' urine, the mare's urine, and they extrapolated the estrogen off, and they kind of turned it and made sure it kind of looked a certain way so that it could sit on the estrogen receptor. And then they made a progesterone. And they said, hey, if we give you back these, maybe that'll be helpful. No, it wasn't. Well, it looked like
it looked like it could help, but it didn't.
But it didn't. And then the data looked like it was showing that those that were on both of those actually had a slight increased risk of breast cancer. Well, when they went back and looked at the data, there was actually no statistical significance in the numbers when they looked at all those numbers of anybody getting a breast cancer diagnosis over basically your baseline of being a woman. That's like how I like to explain it. Right. Now, any cancer diagnosis is big, and that is huge and devastating. Like, it is significant.
Yes.
So don't get me wrong. We're not saying that cancer is not a bad thing. What we're saying is, did we increase your risk from just you living? Not really. No. Okay. And so what happened is, in that initial paper coming out, people like me, the doctors, the new doctors, were told hormones are bad. So think about this. Your doctor that you're going to see now, they've been practicing for 20, almost 25 years. They were told hormones are bad.
Oh gosh.
They weren't even given a lot of foundation on even how to deal with perimenopausal and menopausal women in residency.
What were they told to say to us when we go for hormones? Wait, you're getting older?
The only thing you could give hormones for were we call them vasomotor symptoms: hot flashes, night sweats, vaginal dryness, those three things. Okay. And y'all, menopause, perimenopause is more than just three symptoms.
Yes, it is. I can vouch for that.
Okay. So can I. I'm telling you. And so they were like, unless the person comes in with these three symptoms, you don't even offer them hormone replacement therapy. And then if you do, it's the lowest dose, shortest amount of time. Well, what does that mean? I'm not sure. 5 years. I don't know. So I know patients that came in, their doctors took them off, or they took themselves off, and they were having horrible night sweats again. Yes. Or they were because they were like, well, I've been on it for 5 years. They told me to stop. And there's so many more symptoms. Now, the textbook definition doesn't even include symptoms. That's the thing. So textbook definition of menopause is 12 consecutive months without having a period. If you still have your uterus and you're not on any birth control pills, or you're not on any hormone therapy. Okay. And you go those 12 months, not 6 months, lady, and then have a period, not 8 months and then have a period, not 11 months and then have a period. You have to have 12 consecutive months and not have a period, and then you are menopausal. I've heard another doctor say, menopause is actually, I've heard two ways to put it. One, a doctor says menopause is the only diagnosis that doctors tell you to go away for about 12 months, come back, and then do the diagnosis. Okay. What other medical issue do doctors tell you go away and then I'll come back and I'll give you the diagnosis?
None that I know of. And I was one of those women that went a whole 11 months. And then on the 12th month, I had a period, and I was like, "You've got to be kidding me."
And the significance of that, Kat, is that when you go 12 full months and have no period, and you have what is now called postmenopausal bleeding, you have to rule out uterine cancer. Now, I'm
Yes.
not saying that that means that equals postmenopausal bleeding equals uterine cancer. No, it's one of the things you have to rule out. Okay, so that's why that
Absolutely.
time period is really significant. And then I heard another doctor say menopause is technically just one day in your life. When you technically hit that 12 months, that day you hit that 12 months, you're menopausal. The next day, people will call you postmenopausal. But I stopped using the term postmenopausal actually because women came to me and they were like, I'm postmenopausal. I'm done with that thing called menopause. But
Oh, no, you're not.
this is happening. I was like, no, ma'am, you're in your menopausal phase of life. Like that, this is that last phase. You're gonna stay. This is how you're gonna exit stage right. Okay. And we want to make sure we can help you manage and feel your best. So this is the thing that happened is that the WHI study, which was a big funded study, like I said, it was the largest study, had some technical flaws. And the other thing that happened was that statisticians and epidemiologists were the ones that made the press circuit. Okay. So
Gotcha.
when the study came out, they are the ones that went on the Today Show. They're the ones that went on, Good Morning America and they were using technical terms and statistics and numbers like 26% increased risk and blah, so we're like, how does this work? This is the academic type of, and what does that mean? And that's why I
Absolutely.
said we need this apology tour because we need to be able to be the medical interpreter and say, we're sorry, and this is how we go forward. And so now that we know how we got here, it's time for us to rewrite the story going forward.
So, Dr. LaKeisha, can you tell me or explain what the WHI study, the real world consequences of this, and how did it shape the conversations around hormone therapy?
Oh my gosh, this discussion, like we said, we're going to have to make sure we look at the clock because so the real world consequences were that women abandoned their hormone therapy, those that were on it. Those that were not on it and started having symptoms were scared. Doctors had no other tool to give them. And so women were forced to literally kind of go into silos and silence and almost like fade into the background of society when you get to this point, because as y'all have just heard, I said it's more than just 3 symptoms. Okay. I have one of my super friends. I call him Kat, is one of my super friends. Y'all have a Rolodex of super friends. Okay. And one of them is in Canada. Her name is Andrea Donsky. She is a menopause nutritionist. She and her team have published over 4 white papers in the Journal of Menopause. One of them was a study on symptoms alone. They interviewed or they surveyed over 5,000 women, and they have come up with over 100 symptoms of menopause and perimenopause.
And men want to know why we're so like,
Exactly.
what's wrong with her? Like,
and that also shows us everybody's journey is so personalized
yes.
and different. So my itchy ears, my itchy skin, my vertigo, all of a sudden my eyes getting dry, or now my prescription changes like every 6 months or so. Like you're like, what is going on? Hair starting to get drier, or the curl pattern changes.
Yes.
So these are just some of the things that are happening. Oh, the phantom smells or the changes of taste in your mouth. All these different things are because your hormones have changed, and hormones changing have a real world consequence. It shows up as a symptom. It shows up at, I just breathe and now I gain 5 pounds. Like I haven't changed
Done
anything.
anything.
Like, what is going on? I don't understand this. I got up this morning and now I can't remember how to get myself dressed and out to work. I'm doing the 2-step shuffle. I can't get to sleep at night. I can't stay asleep. Like all these things.
All these
My
things.
husband's hands don't feel the same. They feel rough because my skin has changed. Like, what is going on?
Yes.
And so this is some of the fallout. And what was happening in the background was that they were looking at bioidentical hormones. And they were looking at another option, but the conversation around that was muted. And so this wonderful tool, and I'm not saying everybody has to be on them. What has happened is this particular tool, which is hormone therapy, was put in the closet on a shelf, and we did not have a national conversation, or we didn't have a collective conversation around them. And that was the fallout.
And everyone shut down. The doctors shut down.
Yeah.
Women asking questions. They were like, no one could answer. So what happens when you keep asking a question and you keep getting put off? You stop asking those questions.
Right.
You know?
That's it. That's it.
So, Dr. LaKeischa, why is it that the medical community is so excited about the removal of this black box?
Oh my goodness. The black box warning removal has just literally lifted the lid off and is allowing this conversation to happen and for people to be fully engaged and give women options again. So here, you guys, I'm going to take you back to school just a little bit. We're going to go back to biochemistry and chemistry class. So remember I talked about those synthetic hormones. So what a synthetic hormone does, they build it in the lab, they make it in the lab, and they put different molecules on it and give it a shape because they want it to go and sit on a receptor. So they say, hey, this progesterone, I want it to go sit on the progesterone receptor, but it's not like your biological progesterone. It looks like it. So it's almost like saying, I got this key. It's not necessarily the right key, the actual key, but we can put it in this lock and we can jimmy the lock and it'll open that lock.
Yes.
Okay. That's what synthetic hormones do. Now, here's the caveat. When your body does that with synthetic hormones, they then break it down into what it calls the metabolites. Metabolites for synthetic hormones, the body doesn't always know what to do with. And so it then goes, I'm not sure what this is. Maybe we need to call the immune system over to see if it can get rid of it like it does a bacteria, a virus, yeast, or anything. And so stimulate an immune response, which stimulates inflammation in the body.
And here we go.
And here we go. And now we're off to the races. Whereas a bioidentical hormone, it is made in a lab, but the building blocks of it are organic material. So things like yam roots or some type of organic, like I said, organic material. And they make it just like the body's biological molecule.
So it recognizes it instantly.
Exactly. So they made the right key this time. And when it sits on that receptor and unlocks it, and then the body breaks it down into, remember those metabolites, it goes, I know what to do with this.
Yes.
I know. Oh, okay. The liver, I'm going to send this over to the liver. The liver's going to change its shape a little bit of this molecule. And then we're going to change the shape again. Then we're going to send it down to the gut. The gut's going to package this up all nice and neat. And what she doesn't use, we're going to send it out in her poop. Okay, great. Everybody's happy. Right? That's what bioidentical hormones do. Okay. Now, here's where the tricky part comes in. When a molecule gets labeled estrogen or progesterone, we don't necessarily say this one's bioidentical, this one's synthetic. And so what happens is it's all in the science nomenclature, the way that we then label things. So anything, even if it was bioidentical, that was labeled estrogen, got a warning that said, hey, y'all, that WHI study, oh, this was the other thing that we thought came out. Anybody that was on just estrogen alone, they got blood clots and they had an increased risk of stroke and heart attacks and cardiovascular stuff. So any estrogen product, we need to put a warning label that says estrogen causes heart attacks, strokes, blood clots. Well, not bioidentical estrogen.
Right.
So a woman would come to me and I would say, hey, we would have a conversation. I say, now, because I took the time to leave traditional medicine, do a lot of work around perimenopause, menopause, and all that's there to offer in bioidenticals. And I said, okay, they come to me, the patient comes, I give them a prescription. Now they may say, hey, I would prefer to use the delivery system of a patch. Okay, so I'm going to write you a prescription for an estradiol patch. I know that diol, DIOL, is bioidentical.
Mm-hmm.
I then send her to the pharmacy. She goes to the pharmacy. She gets her estrogen patch, opens up the patient insert packaging, and reads, warning, this can cause blood clots, heart attack, stroke. And she says, now, why Dr. LaKeisha want to give me something that's going to hurt me like this?
Mm-hmm.
This is not, no. And so she packages it up and either breaks up with me silently, never comes back, and puts everything off to the side,
Mm-hmm.
or she's like, I don't know about this. And so then she's caught between the pharmacist that has to give her this information and
Yes.
me that's telling her it's really
Mm-hmm.
okay. Well, who do I believe? They've got it in print. What are you're
Mm-hmm.
telling me this is okay? So removing that black box warning, because we are now saying, hey guys, bioidenticals are really okay,
Mm-hmm.
has now given doctors the ability to have this conversation, have it as a tool, and be able to give it to you. And you're not caught in the middle of,
Mm-hmm.
does it cause heart attacks and stroke? Does it not? Is it good for me?
Mm-hmm.
Is it something I can use? Who
Mm-hmm.
do I believe?
Absolutely. I've been on bioidentical hormone replacement for years, and it saved me, it saved my marriage. I feel normal, and it's not for everybody. But the question I want to ask Dr. LaKeisha is the removal of this black box on this product or products. How is this affecting women? Is it changing the vernacular of
Yes.
what they're talking about and
Oh,
what they're
yes.
asking?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Women are now coming and saying, okay, what about this estrogen? And because the national conversation it's been elevated to a
Mhm.
national conversation in certain pockets of the country where people are now hearing it, they're like, oh, wait,
Mhm.
I can do that? Okay, wait, can I get that? Am I allowed to do that? So
Mhm.
more hands are getting raised. More people are going
Mhm.
to their doctors, to their practitioners. They're saying, "Hey, I want to get on something because I don't feel good and I need to feel like myself again." And so I even train practitioners who want to develop a framework of how they treat perimenopausal and menopausal women. And I
Mhm.
teach them my framework so that we can have more people confident and comfortable treating perimenopausal and menopausal women.
Oh, absolutely. I remember hearing about the removal of the black box on, and I immediately thought about you. I think I hear her jumping up and down.
Yes, yes, yes. You're so correct. When I heard, I mean, I've been following, a lot of the,
Mhm.
stories around hormone therapy. And when, Halle Berry was on Capitol Hill, and there's another doctor. I'm so y'all the pause for the mental brain, but I know these doctors when I see them, I follow them, and they're almost like my virtual mentors, if you
Yes.
would. I know there was another doctor that was talking about testosterone therapy for women
Mhm.
and having that conversation. I was like, yes, oh my goodness.
Mhm.
And then I followed the black box warning. I think she was part of that
Mhm.
same conversation where it's like, look, here's the data. It is not causing harm. It's actually something that will help us. You wanted something that would help with longevity. You wanted something that would help with our cardiovascular system. Here it is. Estrogen
Yes.
is actually known to help with our cardiovascular system. It's known to help with our cognition. It is known
Mhm.
to even be protective of certain breast cancers. That and
Absolutely.
testosterone. So we need to know this information. And you're right.
Mhm.
When they had that conversation that day, I think it was in early November. I'll never forget. I was
Mhm.
just like, yes, 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 yes.
Well, I can tell you, I do the pellets. I get estrogen, I get testosterone, and then I guess they make it, it's a progesterone and
Yes.
DHA
Uh-huh.
supplement,
Uh-huh.
I think.
Okay.
And hey, I'm good to go. I
I
can't
love it.
imagine not having it
Yeah.
because I feel so normal with it.
Yes. Yes.
Um, Dr. LaKeisha, this announcement is huge for sure.
Mhm.
How does it help us and those of you in the field to move from fear to facts? And how do you start a healthier conversation about midlife hormones?
I think the conversation, it's easier to have the conversation now with patients.
Hmm.
And and actually for me, I'm not even having to really bring it up anymore. The patients are coming to me now saying, "Okay, what do you have? Because I hear you're the international menopause whisperer. Please help me out." Like they are raising their hands, right? And so what is happening is it's easier for me to be able to then give my perspective on putting together a personalized plan for you. That's what it is. It actually gives me the ability to stand and be the expert that I am. And
Hmm.
so the way that I deal with my ladies, I have a concierge practice, and I say to them all the time, I get to use functional medicine testing, layer that on with your story, and provide a personalized symptom solution blueprint for you. You live in your body every single day.
Yes.
You're the expert in your body. You tell me where you want to go. What is the biggest thing? Or, I usually say,
Hmm.
give me the three big things that are bothering you right now. Of course, they're like only three. I'm like, yeah, no, right? But
There's 100. Here's the list.
right. We'll work on all of them, but let's tease out the big ones that are really interrupting life right now. And then
Hmm.
you tell me where you want to go. I'm sitting in the passenger seat and I just happen to know the GPS coordinates to get you to your destination. So that's
I
how
love that.
I like to partner with you. I'm not going to take over and say,
Hmm.
get out the way. This is how we're going to do this. No. Okay. So you're
Hmm.
telling me that your sleep is the biggest thing that's happening to you right now. Okay, great. Let's start. How do we peel back these layers? You're telling me that libido is a big issue for you, that it is really interruptive. And it's not necessarily that your partner's the only one that's complaining. You want that intimacy too. You're
Yes,
missing that. I had one patient
absolutely.
that she said it this way, and I told her, I was like, I am using this from now on. She was like, I used to be the initiator. She was like, and I'm now different. So I know something's wrong. I
Yes.
know something has changed. So I said, yeah, anything. You think about how life has changed for you and if it has impacted you
Hmm.
significantly, that's something we need to discuss.
Wow.
Absolutely need to discuss.
Yes. So, in lieu of this new information, has it changed how you help women? I mean, do you have a different way of helping women, or is it the same, just a different, you know, version of what you were saying before? Is there something that women can do online, or what you got coming up, Dr. LaKeisha? That's what I want to know.
That's
That's a
what you
long
want.
way around it.
I got you. No problem. Yeah. So actually, what it has done, it has helped me to be able to say, how can I help you feel more in control
Mhm.
and not necessarily dependent on me? Because that's the
Mhm.
thing. And yeah, and don't get me on this soapbox, but the way that our medical system is set up, you come to the doctor when you're sick. You're like, I want to keep you. It's almost like they want to keep you dependent on coming
Yes.
in, right?
Yes.
I want to get you to a point where you're just like, I got it. I'm good. I know how my body changes. I actually know my
Mhm.
body changes in different seasons. And this is
Yes.
what we're going to do for this season. And this is
Mhm.
what I'm going to do for that season. And these are the supplements I'm going to take right now. And these are the ones that I'm going
Mhm.
to hold on. Oh, my dosages of my hormones have changed for this. Oh, absolutely. I know how to, if I'm going to do creams. Oh, all I got to do is click up twice or click down. If
Mhm.
it's time for another pellet? Am I going to get my pellets closer together or spread them out?
Yes.
All those wonderful things. And so the other way that I have been able to help women is help empower them by giving them information. I have a course that women can take on their own. Just put me on in the background when you're either driving or cooking or doing whatever at the house, or even exercise, whatever. And it's called the Hormone Hottie Boot Camp. And so
I'm in her group, y'all.
I'm
a hormone hottie.
Yes. So y'all are my hormone hotties, and I put together a hormone hottie boot camp. And if you use promo code Apology Tour at checkout, you will get the holiday discount, because everybody was so excited about this in the holidays, and this tour extended into 2026. I said, you know what? I'll keep the promo code, but you guys are the only ones that know. If you come on one of these stops and you hear it, you get the good stuff. You got that nice little nugget. Use Apology Tour, all one word, and you can get the holiday discount. So that's one thing that I have going on, is that nice, it's 6 modules. They're like 20 minutes at the most. They give you information around myths, around perimenopause and menopause, vitamins to take, the tests to ask for, coming to talk to me if you need to, or if you have a doctor, what questions to ask. So that's what's in that wonderful 6 modules that are there.
Dr. LaKeischa, how can people find you if they need your help?
Awesome. I am on all social media platforms at Dr. LaKeischa MD. That's DrLakeischa And if you go on Instagram, if you're on Instagram, link in the bio, you can actually click on consult visit and schedule a virtual consult visit with me, and we can talk and be able to see how I can be of service to you. If you want to, if you're not on Instagram, go to talkhormones.com and you can find the consult link there. That's the way that you can get to unschedule that way.
Where were you when I was going through this, Dr. LaKeischa?
I was learning. I feel
like I'm so left out. I didn't have any help. I was just navigating this by myself.
Oh, I have one more thing. I have an
yes,
actual
ma'am.
freebie for your listeners if they want. If you want to crack your own hormone code, ladies, go to hormonequiz.co. It's hormonequiz.co, and you can take a nice little quiz there and start and kind of see where you are right now.
I love that. Dr. LaKeischa, thank you for helping us and me understand not just what changed, but why it matters. And for giving the language to what so many women have felt for years. To everyone listening, this is your reminder that you deserve accurate information, informed choices, and care rooted in evidence and not fear. So if this conversation sparked questions, curiosity, or even a little fire in you, good. That's where better health begins. So thank you for being here. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time. Thank you, Dr. LaKeischa.
Thank you.